live in 3, 2, 1, and we're live. So what's up, YouTube? It's Unger to the Max here. Just need to scoot in a little bit. There we go. So let's start that over. My bad. What's going on, YouTube? It's Unger to the Max here. A salute to you. And I made a video for the first time in a while yesterday. Well, let me rephrase that. Because I have been making other videos, but I made my first vlog in a while. Because my other video was like in-game footage from when I went to the Browns game against the Buffalo Bills, and a second period recap from when I went to the Monsters game against the Grand Rapids Griffins, and also some Monsters period recap from the game I went to against the Rockford Ice Hogs, and stuff like that. But my last, where is the Browns Dolphins game? Browns Dolphins game. It's here in Cleveland. Yeah. By the way, Engraven Bids. I think your game in Week 13, when the Ravens play the 49ers, that game should be flexed into Sunday Night Football. I mean, yeah, the Sunday night matchup right now is for Week 13 is Patriots-Texans. But did you see what the Ravens did to the Texans yesterday? 41-7. Okay, and I've never seen this before, but, in Cleveland, they were showing Texans at Ravens. It's not being flexed. Damn. I wanted to be able to watch that game, but I'm not going to be able to because in Week 13 we played the Steelers, and the NFL just announced today that the Browns-Steelers game, which was originally scheduled to be a 4:30 game, is now in the 1 o'clock slot, and taking its place in the 4:30 spot will be Raiders Chiefs. So yeah. But yeah. So that sucks because I actually really wanted to watch what could be a preview of the Super Bowl when the 49ers go to Baltimore to play the Ravens. Hopefully, if that is the Super Bowl, the lights don't go out. Although I have to say, after the lights came back on, that turned into a great Super Bowl because San Francisco was able to climb right back into that game, and forced Baltimore to make a couple tough decisions. And in the end, the Ravens, made the right choices, and thus they won Super Bowl 47. And now Joe Flacco is injured and with the Denver Broncos, and I don't think he'll get the starting job again because Brandon Allen has been playing well for them. Anyway, so in Cleveland yesterday, they were showing Texans at Ravens, but it got to be so bad that right in the middle of the broadcast, the CBS crew comes on and goes, for those of you watching Texans at Ravens, with it being such a lopsided game, we're going to take you to a more competitive game in Broncos at Vikings, which it did turn into a more competitive game because the Broncos were leading that game like 23-0, something like that. And they go into the broadcast, and all of a sudden, Minnesota has it down to like 23-20. And, of course, the Vikings would go on to win that game 27-23, although there were a couple questionable no calls. But, I mean, there was, I think, a blatant no PI call, which Houston challenged in the Texans-Ravens game, and it was upheld, which, again, I think was the wrong choice, but whatever. So I want to talk about something that I briefly discussed in my video that I uploaded yesterday. And it's this. There's a connection between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Iowa Hawkeyes. And it's not just that both teams are black and gold. Okay? Look at the side of their helmets. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but I definitely have. Both teams only have their logo on one side of their helmet. If you look at most football teams that have a logo, they put their logo on both sides of the helmet, or they choose not to put anything on the helmet at all, like the Penn State Nittany Lions or the Cleveland Browns, which those are two of the things. That one thing is what bothers me about both teams. I don't like plain helmets. I don't know why. I just never have. I wish both teams would put something on their helmet just so it doesn't look so plain. Now, I'm sure if you ask another Penn State fan, they would say, no, don't change the helmets. And I'm not going to, go around cheering saying, change Penn State's helmets. Change Penn State's helmets. No, I'm not going to do that. If they never change their helmet and keep it as just the plain white helmet, I'm totally fine with that. I'm not saying I have a problem with it, but it does bother me. There's a difference. So I hope you understand that. And I just flat out don't think the Cleveland Browns have a helmet. Sorry, I was just adjusting my screen a little bit. But I don't think the Browns have a helmet. Sorry, Browns fans, but I don't. The orange helmet to me is not a logo. So, to me, it's just not. I mean, you're free to disagree, but and that's fine. Hold on. Or, sorry. What was I just? Oh, I remember. Yeah, but to me, the orange helmet is not a logo. If the Browns, I've given up on saying, oh, the Browns should change their name to the Cleveland Bulldogs. Okay, I've given up on that. But yeah, of course, as soon as I say that, I get a comment. Put Bulldogs on the Browns helmet. Thanks, Patriots Nation Tattoo. Okay, so maybe don't write the word Bulldogs, but we have that alternate logo, or we have that logo. I'm not going to say alternate logo. But we have that logo where it's a dog's head. I think that would look good on the helmet. Put that on the helmet, or the Elf logo that the Browns have. Put that on the helmet. Put something on the helmet. And the Browns helmets probably will never change, and you're gonna have longtime Browns fans who say, "Oh, they should never change the logo or change the helmet," because to me, again, the Browns don't have a logo. Don't mean to offend any diehard Browns fans, but that's just my personal opinion. You are totally free to disagree with me if you would like to. But anyway, getting back to my original point, comparing the Iowa Hawkeyes of the Big Ten in college football to the Pittsburgh Steelers, AFC North NFL. I'm not just comparing them again because they're both black and yellow. Look at I think I said this earlier, but I'll say it again. Look at their helmets. If you look at Iowa's helmet, they have the Hawkeye logo on one side of their helmet, but they don't have anything on the other side. It's just black. Look at the Steelers helmet. They have their logo, that the circle with the word Steelers and the 3 diamonds. I think it's yellow, red, and blue. Hopefully I got that right. But I hope I described it well enough. But they only have that logo on one side of their helmet. There's nothing on the other side of the helmet. I mean, it doesn't bother me, but it's just kind of weird. Like, why would you not complete it? It almost feels like an incomplete look, if you will, because it's like, okay, let's put the logo on one side, but nah, I don't want to put the logo on the other side. Fuck it. So it just, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. But the other one that doesn't make sense is Alabama. Now, I get that they want to be old-fashioned by putting their numbers on their helmets and all that, but I don't like it. I mean, Alabama has that really cool alternate logo with the A, with the elephant, or like coming out of it or something. I'd like to see them put that on their helmet, or that cool looking A, like script A that they have. You know, I think it goes up like that, comes down like that. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'd like to see them put that on their logo or on their helmet. I don't know, just having the numbers on their side on the helmet. I don't know, just I don't like it. But of course, then again, I just hate Alabama anyway. So, you know, it is what it is. So now, so just wanted to get that out there. But now I want to talk about some scheduling stuff with the NFL. So the NFL just announced today, I think the Steelers will beat the Browns. No way they gain swept. Okay. Interesting prediction, Paper Portal. 2 bye weeks now. Oh, because you're saying because the Browns are playing the Dolphins. I mean, we should be able to get pressure on Fitzpatrick, because even though we don't have Myles Garrett and Ogunjobi, because they're both suspended for their roles in the Thursday Night Brawl. Oh, you mean starting next year because the NFL is talking about adding another game. Yeah, I don't get that. And it's going to be a 17-game schedule. There's talks about us adding a 17th game, which I will talk about that. But anyway, I want to preview Dolphins-Browns for a second. Because if you say Browns-Dolphins, it makes it sound like the game's in Miami. But no, it's in Cleveland. So that's why I say Dolphins-Browns. I always say the road team first, road team first, home team second. We make mistakes sometimes. What can I say? People make mistakes. Anyway, so even though Garrett will not be there because, again, he's suspended indefinitely, although he's appealing his suspension, which I think is stupid because there is absolutely no way in hell he's going to win his suspension. He took the helmet off of Mason Rudolph and slammed it over his head. You can't do that. I mean, did Mason Rudolph initiate it or instigate it? I would say yes. I mean, yes, he did, but, you know, and I'm not trying to defend Myles Garrett, but because I can never defend what Myles Garrett did. Never. Under no Under no circumstances can I support what Myles Garrett did. No circumstances. But if you look at video, you can see Mason Rudolph is the one starting it, instigating. I mean, I think he tried to take Myles Garrett's helmet off first, and I've heard from people that Rudolph was trying to kick Garrett in the groin area. Mason Rudolph did not get suspended. He only got fined like $35,000 or something. Pouncey got suspended for a game because he was defending his quarterback, and then when Myles Garrett went down, Pouncey started kicking him. And then Ogunjobi got suspended for one game for his involvement. But anyway, going back to Dolphins-Browns. So, yes, we won't have Myles Garrett or Larry Ogunjobi, but we can still generate pass rush with Sheldon Richardson. Hopefully, Olivier Vernon is back this week. We can still get pressure on him. And the Dolphins don't really have an offense that I'm like, oh no, we have to face the Miami Dolphins offense. Run for your lives. No. The Patriots offense doesn't even scare me that much. We should have beat the Patriots, by the way, if Nick Chubb hadn't fumbled it like 3 times. Then again, we should have beat the Rams week 3 if it hadn't been for shitty play calling by Freddie Kitchens. And we should have beaten the Seahawks in week 6 if we had stayed to the game plan that worked in the first half. What a freaking concept. Anyway, so yes, the Dolphins have Devontae Parker on offense in terms of receivers, but who else do they really have? They don't have a run game. I mean, yeah, they have Mike Gesicki, the tight end from Penn State, but they don't really have anybody else on the outside. So, yes, Denzel Ward will be undersized against Devontae Parker, but he's been matched up with receivers who are bigger than him, and Denzel Ward has still been able to, shut them down, or not shut them down, but make them have less. I'm trying to think of how to say this. Make them have less smaller games than they're used to. Let's go with that. So, interesting comment. Freddie Kitchens needs to go. I agree with you on that. Not just because his play calling has been absolutely inconsistent. Like, one week it looks like, okay, we're a run-first team. Next week, nope, we're not a run-first team. We're a passing-first team. And then the next week, we come out using the run game to set up the short, quick passing game. And I'm like, okay, this is working. I.e., first half of the game against Seattle in week 6. And then in the second half of that game, we come out and don't keep that going. We come out trying to get long passes and don't really run the ball. And I'm like, what? Why? Why are you going away from what's working? And then, so that's one reason Freddie Kitchens needs to go. Number 2, the Browns are the most undisciplined team I've seen in the NFL this season. I mean, go back to week 1 against Tennessee. 18 penalties in one game. I don't know the last time that I saw that happen. And then, sorry, just got a text message. Where was I going with that? Just wanted to look at a text. And then you look at week 11, Thursday night against the Steelers. Demaryius I think it was Demarius Randall, gets ejected from the game for helmet to helmet contact. And then, you had the whole Myles Garrett brawl at the end. I mean, I get it. I get why we named him head coach. Many teams wanted to get him as a head coach after, his creative play calling with Baker Mayfield last season once he became offensive coordinator after Hugh Jackson and Todd Haley were let go. But think about this. Freddie Kitchens went from quarterbacks coach to interim offensive coordinator to head coach in 1 year. Come on. In fact, let me read you something that I wrote. Let me see if I can find it. Okay. I think this is a 3-part problem. The first problem is that Baker Mayfield is a one-read quarterback. He doesn't seem to go through his progressions. Instead, it looks like he locks into one receiver and doesn't look anywhere else. Like if he sees Jarvis Landry trying to do a double move and get deep downfield, he'll only look there, but he might have like Rashard Higgins or Odell Beckham Jr. doing a slant route where they have the defender beat, and they can, if it's a simple pass, they can get the ball, they can catch it and, gain some yards. Or you might have Nick Chubb, out a couple yards where if you toss it to him, you can gain 5 or 6 yards. But Baker doesn't seem to do that. Yeah. The second problem is the second problem is Todd Monken. I get that it's Freddie Kitchens calling the plays, but when Todd Monken was the offensive coordinator for the Buccaneers, they were terrible on offense. But now that he's not there, Winston has made some progress. They put up 55 on the Rams and pushed the Seahawks to overtime. The third problem is that Freddie Kitchens is not meant to be a head coach. He went from position coach to coordinator to head coach in 1 year. That's too much, too fast. And then this is what I said about the Thursday night. What bothers me about the whole thing is that the Browns played well throughout the game. Their defense had 4 interceptions and 4 sacks. The offense played well at times, but still left the defense hanging out to dry too many times. But instead of talking about all that, we are left talking about what happened at the end of the game with Myles. Under no circumstances do I support the actions from Myles Garrett at the end of the game against the Steelers. The Browns are the most undisciplined team in the NFL, and that falls on Kitchens. So, yeah. I mean, again, teams were probably interested in hiring him as a head coach because of how successful he was as offensive coordinator with Baker Mayfield and the entire Browns offense last season. I get that. So I understand why we hired him as head coach, his relationship with Baker Mayfield and all that. But as I just said, he went from position coach to interim offensive coordinator, not even actual offensive coordinator, interim offensive coordinator, and then to head coach in 1 year. Way too much, way too fast. The Browns had the opportunity to go out and hire an experienced head coach like a Mike McCarthy, which I think that would have been a good fit. Or I don't know why we didn't keep Greg Williams. He was doing well for with the Browns as head coach last season. So I don't know why we just let him go. I mean, the Jets are struggling. Shout out to Gangrene David. But I mean, yeah. I think the Jets beat Washington yesterday actually. But still, overall, they're struggling. Yeah. What was I just going to say? Oh, so I know the college football playoff rankings came out on Tuesday, and it goes LSU 1, Ohio State 2, Clemson 3, Georgia 4, Alabama 5, Oregon 6, Utah 7. Who is 8? Oh, 8 Minnesota, 9 Penn State, 10 Florida. But and those are definitely going to change because Penn State, or not Penn State, I'm sorry, Minnesota lost to Iowa, and I think Alabama drops in the rankings because they lost Tua. Yeah. So here are my rankings. 1, LSU, 2, Ohio State, 3, Clemson, 4, Oregon, 5, Georgia, 6, Alabama, 7, Utah, 8, Oklahoma, 9, Minnesota, and 10, Penn State. Now, this was before what happened on Saturday. But what do you think of my top 10? What do you agree with? And what do you disagree with? And in case you're wondering, you might be asking yourself, Josh, why did you put Oregon ahead of Georgia? Here's my answer. I gave Oregon the edge over Georgia because Oregon has the better loss against a ranked Auburn team on a neutral site in the last seconds of the game. Whereas Georgia lost at home to an unranked South Carolina team. So that's why I say Oregon has the better loss. Has the better loss. So I gave Oregon the edge. So we'll see. But if Alabama wanted to stay in the playoff conversation, they needed to win that game against LSU. And, the score says, hold on. Hey, Siri, what was the score of the LSU-Alabama game?
Which sport? Basketball. Alabama lost a close one to LSU on November 9th, 2019.
Just wanted to double check. LSU won 46-41. But I feel like the score indicates that the game was close. But if you watched it, especially in the first half, you could tell the two teams didn't really match up. I mean, yeah, Tua was put up massive yards. I think he had over 400 yards of offense. But I mean, yeah, Tua put up 400 yards of offense, but it just didn't feel like the game was actually close. It felt like LSU was in control from start to just about finish. Yes, Alabama mounted a massive comeback in the second half. But, it didn't feel like the game was close. So yeah. So here's something I've noticed. First off, I think I asked this question once before, but when the players are out on the field, how do they know what the score is? Or field, court, whatever. Hold on. Sorry about that. But when the game is happening and you're on the court or field, you're not going to be able to look up at the scoreboard and go, "Oh, we're winning," or we're down by 2, or we're up 13. So when the players are on the court playing the game or on the field, ice, whatever, how do they know what the score is? See, I know, like when they call a timeout, the players are able to look up at the side from the sidelines and see the score. I get that. But like when the game is actually happening, how do they know? Sorry. Also, you've been to many NBA games, I'm sure, and or NFL games where the fans are chanting defense, defense. This might be a silly question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. When fans are chanting defense, or, in football, when it's third down and the announcer goes, "It's third down." And the crowd is going crazy. Do you think, number one, that it distracts the away team? And number two, do you think it helps the home team at all? I guess my answer to those questions would be, no. I don't really think it helps the home team in any way. Well, actually, hang on. Let me think about that one. Just thinking. Okay, so let me rephrase that. I don't think chanting defense affects the game, but when the crowd gets really into it on third down, perhaps it does distract the away team a little bit. Look at Seattle. How many false starts have happened because the offensive linemen or receivers can't hear the snap count. Or you could throw Kansas City, Arrowhead Stadium into that mix. Same thing. But I don't think that chanting defense really affects the game in any way. I think it's just like an add-on thing. And when a player is at the free throw line, you see all the people in the stands waving their arms or holding up fat heads of players, or waving those thunder stick things together like this, which I get it. Those are designed to distract players. But I don't think they do, because players are so used to it. They're like, whatever. At Cavs games, they'll put up the Michigan logo or the Pittsburgh Steelers logo or Ben Roethlisberger, and everybody will start booing. And again, I don't think that distracts the opponent when they're shooting free throws, because again, they're used to it. So yeah. So I don't know. I just find that interesting to think about. I know. I find a lot of stuff interesting to think about that other people might not think about. Like, the whole Pittsburgh Steelers, Iowa Hawkeyes thing where first off, I think it's interesting that both teams are black and yellow. Second, that both Iowa and Pittsburgh only have the logo on one side of their helmet and nothing on the other side. The Steelers have the logo on their side, on one side of the helmet, but nothing on the other side. Iowa has the same thing. They have the Hawkeye on this side of the helmet, but nothing on the other side. I don't know. It's just kind of interesting. And like Penn State and the Browns have just plain helmets. And yes, I'm a fan of both teams, but I just wish both teams would add something to their helmet. Add like a logo or something. Now, my guess would be that will never happen. And, I'm not going to be like, okay, I'm no longer a Browns fan and I'm no longer a Penn State fan because they didn't add anything to their helmets. No, I'm not going to do that. That would be a bitch move is what I call that. A bitch move. But, I'd like to, I don't know. I don't like plain helmets. And I don't like that Alabama just has numbers on their helmets. I'd like to see them add something like, the A, the alternate logo, that A that they have that tilt goes up like this and comes down, something like that. Or, what else? They have that logo with the A and the elephant. I'd like to see them maybe put that. But there's something else I want to talk about. And it might be a little bit of a sensitive subject for Browns fans. So the Browns and Ravens have a rivalry because people have said that the Baltimore Ravens, shout out to Ingraven Vids, shout out to Ingraven Vids. Check out his YouTube channel if you haven't yet. Big Baltimore Ravens fan. Hopefully get to do a video with him for the Week 16 matchup when the Ravens come to Cleveland to play the Browns. When the Browns will look to sweep the Ravens for the first time in I don't know how many years. Just like the Browns will attempt to go to Pittsburgh and sweep the Steelers for the first time since, God, I don't know when. And the Browns can't afford another loss because if they lose one more game, they're pretty much eliminated from playoff contention. If the Browns want to keep their dim playoff hopes alive, they've got to win out. That means they've got to win this week against Miami, Week 13 at Pittsburgh, home against Cincinnati, but the Bengals are terrible, so that should be easy. At Arizona, which could be a tricky game, home against Baltimore, which Baltimore's playing like the best team in the NFL right now, so that's going to be tough. And then at Cincinnati. Maybe if we have clinched a playoff spot by then, we'll rest our guys, and Cincinnati will ruin their draft positioning by winning a game. Anyway, so getting back to my original point. People in Cleveland say that the Ravens are the old Browns. I'm not so sure that's true. Here's why. When the Art Modell moved the team to Baltimore, the city of Cleveland fought hard, and they kept the name Browns, the colors brown and orange, and all the history and all that stayed in Cleveland. So pretty much the Ravens were an expansion team that was hitting the reset button. So I get why I get it, but I'm not sure the Ravens really are the old Browns. I would say the Ravens are more of an expansion team. But I do get the rivalry. I do. And I will never like the Baltimore Ravens. Never. But let me just say this. Since it's the NFL's 100th season, as long as the New England Patriots and the Dallas Cowboys both do not win the Super Bowl, I would like to purchase the Super Bowl 54 championship film. No matter who it is, except the New England Patriots and the Dallas Cowboys. If it's either of those two teams, heck no, I'm not buying the film. But if it's a different team, yeah, I might be interested. Even if it's the Ravens. Because, no, it's just so cool that it's the 100th season. And I enjoy watching championship films. I mean, heck, I've thought about buying the Ravens Super Bowl 47 film. I've given thought to, before the NBA took their stuff down, I thought about maybe buying the Spurs 2014 film, although the NBA decided to take down their content from iTunes, and I'm really upset about it. But the Toronto Raptors 2019 championship film is available, but I'm not going to buy that because Kawhi Leonard was on that team. He's now with the Clippers. Danny Green was on that team. He's now with the Lakers. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not really interested in that film, but I would have loved to have bought all of the 2016 NBA playoffs. That way, because I have the 2016 NBA finals between the Warriors and Cavaliers, which I'm not thanking Draymond Green. I'm not thanking Draymond Green, but if he did not get suspended for Game 5, I don't think we would be talking about a championship here in Cleveland. Which, again, yes, the Cavaliers won an NBA championship, but were they the first team to bring a championship to the city of Cleveland in 2016? My answer is no. Hold on. Excuse me. What was I just saying? Oh, I remember. The Cavaliers brought the first NBA championship to Cleveland, but were they the first team to bring a championship to the city of Cleveland in 2016? No. Go back to UFC 198. Stipe Miocic against Fabrizio Verdum for the UFC Heavyweight Championship from Curitiba, Brazil. Verdum was coming out very aggressively, and I don't know why. And Miocic was kind of just standing in the pocket, throwing short punches. Because what's interesting about Stipe is, and Dan Hardy has mentioned this before on UFC Inside the Octagon. Stipe doesn't never. If you watch Stipe's punches, he never goes full extension like that. Here, let me show you better. Normally, if you're punching, you go like this, right? But what Stipe does is he'll stand right here and go short. Hold on. A punch, it goes like this, right? But that's not what Stipe does. He goes here. And what seems to happen is if he goes here, full extension, he seems to lose power. So he comes in and goes like that. Starts the punch halfway. Almost making a 90-degree angle like that. So what happened is Verdum's coming in, comes full charge, and what Stipe does is he first parries Verdum's punch to the side and then punches him about here and knocks him out, which I don't think Stipe was trying to knock him out, but he got enough power on that punch where it did knock him out. Thus, Stipe became UFC heavyweight champion for the first time, and he's the one who brought the first championship to the city of Cleveland, followed by the Lake Erie Monsters, who swept the Hershey Bears in 4 games to win the Calder Cup, which was then followed by the Cavaliers coming back from a 3-1 deficit to beat the Golden State Warriors in Game 7 and bring the first NBA championship to the city of Cleveland. And the Indians almost won the World Series for the first time since 1948, and they were up 3-1, but then the Cubs, maybe the Warriors called the Cubs and said, hey, can you give the Indians a taste of their own medicine? And the Cubs said, yeah, sure. So the Cubs came back from a 3-1 deficit and beat the Indians in Cleveland. So what's interesting is the Indians were up 3-1 and lost Game 7 at home. The Warriors were up 3-1 and they lost Game 7 at home. So just kind of interesting. But I'm seeing a lot of NBA discussion. So let's talk NBA. Why not? The Clippers, I'm going to say it right now. The Clippers are going to win the championship this season. And the Western Conference Finals is going to be Clippers-Lakers. Now, do I think they should both be in LA? No. Sorry, but I've heard a report actually that the Clippers are trying to build their own arena in Inglewood, California, which is where the Rams and Chargers stadium is going to go. Although I don't think the Chargers are going to stay in LA for very much longer. Who are my biggest surprises and disappointments? I can't put the Warriors in that category because they've had so many injuries. Like Steph is out, Klay Thompson's injured, Draymond Green's been injured. They really don't have anybody. So I can't say they're a disappointment. I'm going to say the Denver Nuggets are a disappointment, though, because they won their division last season. They made it to Game 7 of the second round last season against Portland, and many projected them to be the top team in the Western Conference, despite what the Clippers and Lakers did in the offseason. But they don't seem to have that same groove that they had last season. I don't know what it is. But yeah, Denver's been one of the biggest disappointments. Yeah, the Suns are a surprise. They're playing well. You know, I've been saying that the Suns for the past couple of seasons should trade Devin Booker because, he's putting up these huge numbers, but the Suns aren't winning. Like, he put up 70 points in one game, and yet the Celtics still beat Phoenix that game in Boston. Like, you just wasted 70 points from Devin Booker. Come on. But, yeah, Phoenix seems to have figured it out. Which is, again, very surprising. Sacramento has also been a disappointment because they made strides where it looked like, the Sacramento Kings could be a playoff team next season. But the way they're starting, no, they're not a playoff team. Now, I could be wrong, but as of right now, Luke Walton right now, I don't know why he's a head coach. Okay, he did well in Steve Kerr's absence, but that's because he had Klay Thompson, Steph Curry. I'm pretty sure Durant was on that team. So, yeah, he had Durant, Draymond Green. Yeah, he was with the Warriors. So that's what made it look like he's a good coach. But in reality, as we saw, he's not. Which, again, Kevin Durant going to the Warriors ruined a great rivalry that was forming between the Cavaliers and the Warriors. Oh, Walton wasn't there at that, or KD wasn't there at that time. Got it. Thanks. But still, I stand by my statement. Kevin Durant ruined the rivalry that was forming between the Cavaliers and Warriors. Because, yeah, we make up all these excuses for why the Warriors won the championship. Oh, they didn't have to play point guard A and point guard B and point guard C. And then in the finals, Kyrie Irving got hurt in game 1. Kevin Love wasn't there because Kelly Olynyk decided to be a bitch. Whatever. But that would have been a very competitive series in 2015 if the Cavaliers had been fully healthy, which I think we would have won that series. There's no way to tell, which, again, I wish iTunes hadn't, or the NBA hadn't removed its content from iTunes, because I would have loved to have bought at least games 2 and 3 of the 2015 NBA Finals. But whatever. I wish I had a time machine so I could go back in time to just last year and, buy these games, like Kobe's last game with the Lakers against the Utah Jazz or whatever, or Kobe's last game in Cleveland, stuff like that. Yeah. So, it is what it is. But again, Durant ruined the rivalry because both teams went 1-1 in the finals. And you saw the Christmas rematch in Cleveland. That was a fantastic game. Yes, Durant was there for that game. I get it. But still, and that was a great game. And what I hated about that, what I did strongly hate about that game, I don't know why, I was just randomly playing with a pencil. I do that sometimes. But what I did hate is that after that game, a couple days later, the NBA comes out and goes, oh yeah, LeBron should have been called for a technical foul for hanging on the rim, or, it was a foul on the last play when Richard Jefferson tripped Kevin Durant and all this and that. Like, I hate it when the league comes out and does that. Like, hey, this foul should have been called, or this foul should not have been called. It's like, well, why didn't you call it in the game? Like, what's the point of coming out and going, oh, we should have called this or we should not have called this? Like, what the fuck? Like, if you're going to do that, why did you not call it in the game? And going back to Game 6 of the 2016 NBA Finals, should Steph Curry have fouled out in that game? Even though I'm a Cavaliers fan, I'm going to say no. There were 3 bogus. Sorry, just responding to a text super quick. Yeah, just responding to a text super quick. Sorry about that. Anyway, so there were 3 bogus calls against Steph Curry in that game. That was a clean strip of LeBron. That should not have even been a foul. All Steph Curry was doing was running back. Yes, he hit the basketball and, he made some contact with LeBron, but I don't know. That shouldn't have been a foul. That looked like a completely clean strip of Kyrie. And I believe it was his second foul of the game, where they set a pick. Steph gets switched onto LeBron. He tries to take the charge and gets called for a blocking foul. That looked more like a charge to me. Which, here's what I find interesting. Just like the Cavaliers put Steph Curry in the pick and roll to get him on the initial ball handler, whether that was Kyrie or LeBron, because when Steph was matched up on Kyrie, you could tell it wasn't even a fair fight. Kyrie was like, oh, you're the 2-time MVP? Yeah, I don't care. I'm just going to go to town on you. And LeBron's like, oh, you're the 2-time MVP? Well, I'm stronger than you, so, I win. Which I don't think Steph Curry should have won unanimous MVP. The only reason I think Steph won unanimous MVP is because of how amazing his shooting was that year. Everybody's like this. Oh my God, we've never seen anything like this. I got to vote for MVP. Steph Curry. And I think it's also because the Warriors won 73 games, although they have nothing to show for it because they didn't win the championship. Yeah. And they were up 3-1 in the series, might I add. I guess teams like blowing leads, though, because the Falcons were up 28-3 in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, and they choked and didn't hold on to the lead. The Indians were up 3-1 against the Cubs. I guess the Indians choked and decided not to hold on to the lead because the Cubs came back and beat them. The Warriors up 3-1. What happened? Choked. Also, Draymond Green got suspended. And the Cavaliers came back and won. The Thunder, they were up 3-1 in the 2016 Western Conference Finals against the Warriors. But what happened? Klay Thompson went off in Game 6. And the Warriors went on to win that series. What happened this past week? Baylor was up 28-3 against Oklahoma. I guess 28-3 is contagious because Oklahoma came back and beat them 35-31. And yes, Kevin Durant choked in the 2016 Western Conference Finals. I don't know about that. You might have to sell me a little bit on that one. Excuse me. But whatever. All the Falcons had to do in Super Bowl 51 to prevent New England from coming back was, I believe it was late in the third quarter. They had the opportunity to kick the field goal and go up 31-3. Durant went 10 of 32 in game 6. And that game was in Oklahoma City, which I'm still upset about that. The Thunder should not be a team. They should still be in Seattle. Stupid Howard Schultz. Why the hell did you think it was a good idea to sell the team to a group based in Oklahoma City? Of course they're going to come out at the press conference and go, oh yeah, our goal is to keep the Seattle Sonics in Oklahoma City or in Seattle. Yeah, behind the scenes, he's like, now I can actually get the team to Oklahoma City. I mean, yeah, Thunder fans have loved the team. But then again, not really, they don't love their team right now. Okay, I get it. OKC has the Thunder, and they're a small market team, and they're doing well. Okay, cool. But it shouldn't have come at the expense of the Seattle Supersonics. Just saying. I'm glad you're a loyal fan, Kuram. I do need to come to a Thunder game because, like I said, I'm trying to see a game at every current NBA team's arena. And I made that goal when Seattle still had the Sonics. So I'm like, okay, cool. You know, I'll be able to go to cities like Denver and Charlotte and Atlanta, Miami, Detroit, but especially Seattle. And that didn't happen. Hold on. Chesapeake Energy Arena is a packed crowd on game nights. Well, I'm sure it was when you guys had Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, and James Harden, and Serge Ibaka and Steven Adams, but I can't imagine it is now. Because who do the Thunder have? Steven Adams, Chris Paul? That's all. I mean, yeah, they're a bad team. So, you know, it is what it is. My next Cavs game, not as bad though. What do you mean not as bad? Yes, I get that. They compete every night, just like the Cavs. I mean, we only lost by 1 against Philadelphia in Philadelphia. We got smashed by the 76ers tonight, or last night, I should say. But tonight we play the Knicks in New York. Easy win. The Knicks are absolute trash. I mean, not only did you lose Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, but you lost them to the Brooklyn Nets. And then to have the balls to come out afterwards and say, oh, we weren't prepared to offer Kevin Durant the maximum contract. So you trade Kristaps Porzingis, you get all this cap space, and all you end up with is Taj Gibson and Julius Randle. And now you have an impromptu press conference after you get smashed at home by the Cavaliers, and you're pretty much saying, "Oh, we're laying the groundwork to get rid of David Fizdale." What? Why? Why would you do that in the middle of the season? It makes no sense. And thank God I'm not a Knicks fan. Oh, man. I mean, the Knicks, they play in the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. Too bad the product on the court is shit. Yeah, the Knicks management is trash, but it all starts with their owner, Dolan. He kicked Charles Oakley out of the building, for crying out loud. A Knicks legend. Like, why would you do that? I'm pretty sure he had Knicks fans. He had Knicks fans thrown out of the building. Like, since you've taken over this team, you run it. You haven't shown that you care about winning. You just shown that you want to run this team like it's a dictatorship. Like, this is my team. I don't care about winning. I do what I want. Oh, paper fell. Oh, well. Like, no. Why would I waste my time if I'm a Knicks fan? Why would I waste my time and money to buy a ticket and drive to Madison Square Garden? Why? I'm sure there will be fans at the game tonight, but they're not going to see their team win. And I'm not saying that. And I'm not just saying that because, I'm a Cavs fan and we're playing the Knicks. I'm not doing that to trash talk the Knicks. But then again, it's kind of easy to trash the Knicks. I don't know the last time they were competitive. Yeah, they had a couple of years with Carmelo Anthony where they made the playoffs, but they didn't really do anything in the playoffs. Seriously, I don't know. Why would I go to a Cowboys game if they embarrass people? Yeah, they claim to be America's team, but when was the last time the Cowboys did something? When was the last time they won the Super Bowl? Tell me. I don't know. Okay, the Cowboys made the playoffs last season. Yay! You should have lost to Seattle in the first round, and you know it. But instead, Brian Schneider, the Seahawks offensive coordinator, decided to take the Seahawks offense back into the old way, and it just didn't work. And Seattle lost their kicker, so their onside kick later in the game went horribly wrong. And then you saw what happened. Their run defense was absolute trash against the Rams. And their run defense has continued to be a problem. Why did they lose against the Packers? Was it because of Aaron Rodgers? No, it was because of a different Aaron. Aaron Jones running all over them. Why did they lose to the Vikings? Because Dalvin Cook was able to run all over them. The only good, legitimate team that the Cowboys have beaten is the Philadelphia Eagles, which the Eagles, I don't know if Carson Wentz is the right quarterback for them. I don't know. But, you're stuck with him, Eagles fans, whether you like it or not. So, it is what it is. But actually, speaking of the Cowboys, the AFC North plays the NFC East next season. So that means the Browns are going to play the Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, and Washington. Again, I choose not to say the team name for the Washington's NFL team. So we will be at Dallas, home for Philadelphia, at the Giants, and home for Washington. I've heard that the Browns-Cowboys game will be on Thanksgiving. Don't know if it's true or not, but, can you tell me why people are saying what? I don't understand that question. Hold on. Sorry about that. Yeah. I don't know if that report is true, but anyway. So I've heard that there is serious talk that the NFL is going to consider expanding the schedule from 16 games to 17 games, making it 18-week schedule. So explain how this would work. Because right now, let's look at the Browns' schedule. Why do they have the schedule they do? They started with Tennessee week 1. The reason is because Tennessee and the Browns both finished in third place in their divisions last season. Okay, week 2 at the Jets. AFC North is playing the NFC or AFC. The AFC North is playing the AFC East. So the Browns are playing the Jets. Week 3, home against the Rams. AFC North is playing the NFC West. Week 4, Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are part of the AFC North. Week 5, San Francisco. AFC North plays the NFC West. Week 6, Seahawks. AFC North plays the NFC West. Week 8, at New England. AFC North plays the AFC East. Week 9, Denver. The Broncos finished in third place, just like the Browns. Hence, they played the Broncos. Week 10, Buffalo Bills. AFC North plays the AFC East. Week 11, the Steelers. The Steelers are an AFC North opponent. Week 12, the Dolphins are AFC East, and the AFC North is playing the AFC East. Week 13, Steelers. Steelers are AFC North. Week 14, Bengals. The Bengals are AFC North. Week 15, NFC West at Arizona. AFC North is playing the NFC West. Week 16 is Baltimore. Baltimore is part of the AFC North, although I think they should be part of the AFC East, but whatever. And then week 17 is Cincinnati, AFC North. Where does the 17th game come from? So I've heard one thing I've heard is that they will add a second bye week, so you have 2 bye weeks, but still, where would the 17th game come from? Would it come from another NFC division where you play where an AFC North opponent plays an NFC North opponent who finished with the same record? But if you do that, what happens when the AFC North plays the NFC North? Because that does happen. In 2 years, that will happen. Because, again, next year we play the NFC East, and then the AFC North will play the NFC North the year after that. And the Browns will be at the Packers, at the Vikings, home for the Bears, and home for the Lions. So, I don't know. What you could do is, when the AFC North is not playing the NFC North, you have, let's say the Browns and Lions finished in the same place in their division. Maybe you have the 2 of them play each other, something like that. I don't know. Just an idea. But it's interesting to think about. But it sounds like it's seriously going to happen. And now back to college football. Why is Rutgers in the Big Ten? They are shit. They are shit. Yes, they put up 21 points against Ohio State, but still, they're not competitive at all. Not in basketball, not in football. Maryland, I get why they're in the Big Ten. They're on the upswing in football. They've had a couple good games, and they've had some good seasons in the past. But they always play well in basketball, and their games are great to watch when they play Michigan State and Wisconsin in basketball. So I like that Maryland is in the Big Ten. But why is Rutgers in the Big Ten? I would have loved to not have Rutgers, possibly bring in Notre Dame, but that'll never happen. Notre Dame's always going to stay independent, although they play 5 games against the ACC. So, I don't know. Hopefully Notre Dame plays Clemson again, because that was a great game when the two teams played each other in Clemson. But Ohio State and Oregon start a home-and-home series next season. So that'll be exciting. Go Ducks, because I don't like Ohio State. I'm a Penn State fan. So you can bet I'm rooting for Penn State this week. And I think college football screwed up, because that game is, number 1, on Fox, and number 2, it's on at noon. Why would you have two of the highest ranked teams in all of college football, especially in the Big Ten, be playing at noon? Like, my school, Notre Dame College, has a football playoff game this coming Saturday against Westchester. Hold on. Which is at noon, so I won't be able to watch Penn State at Ohio State. I would love to watch it, but again, I'll be at my school's football playoff football game. So it just sucks. And I think the NCAA got it wrong by putting LSU at Alabama at 3:30 on CBS. Like, Florida LSU, that was an SEC game, and that was on at night. I mean, yeah, CBS used its one-time night game for Notre Dame at Georgia, and that was a great game. I'll give you that. But it was number 2 against number 3, and you saw how great of a game it turned into. Why was that game on at 3:30? And Penn State at Minnesota. Yes, Minnesota dominated that game, but still, why was that on at noon? Well, actually, I can probably answer that, because it can get really cold in Minnesota. Anyway, so last thing before I wrap up, and I think I mentioned this, but College Game Day, especially this season, has been extremely SEC-based, and LSU has been on 3 times. Let me go through. College Game Day locations: Miami versus Florida, SEC. Oregon, Auburn, SEC. LSU, SEC, against Texas. Iowa, Iowa State. Notre Dame, Georgia, SEC. Ohio State, Nebraska, which was a horrible game. I don't know why that was the game College Game Day went to. Auburn, SEC, against Florida, SEC. Florida, SEC. LSU, SEC. Michigan, Penn State. North Dakota State, South Dakota State. SMU, Memphis. LSU, SEC. Alabama, SEC. Oklahoma, Baylor, and this week they're going to Penn State, Ohio State. Yeah, so that's going to do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, punch that like button like a UFC fighter, and punch that subscribe button. Until next time, this is Unger to the Max signing off with a salute to you.